You're listening to the Zone Coverage Football Show, where opinions, passion, and pride are always on the line. Live from Tees Towers, here's your host, Mark Tees.
Hello, and welcome along to the Zone Coverage Football Show on a Saturday. Yes, a Saturday, the 8th of November 2014. Yeah, coming to you a little earlier than the usual show, much to the annoyance, I would imagine, of the regulars who follow the show. And yeah, the other week I was at Wembley, we were early. Now this week I'm on a Saturday. I do apologise in advance, but I'm at Wembley again tomorrow, but this time as a fan in the stand. So I will have experienced both sides of the coin and should be able to offer, I wouldn't say a great deal of credible insight, but you know what I mean. I've experienced it from either side, so I can relate. If that makes sense. Anyway, back to the show. Fingers crossed that you have tuned in on this Saturday. We are going for the usual 90 minutes, hopefully. How to listen then? Live, you should be doing that via the TuneIn app and via Spreaker app. Keep mentioning the Spreaker app. It has got one of those little chat room windows in the corner, which if you want to just chat away, feel free to do so. Failing that, if you're listening on demand, you can do that via iTunes and Stitcher. Ratings and feedback, as always, is very much appreciated. And what you can always do, Spreaker, TuneIn, any of the stuff that I've just mentioned, you can just turn them on at 4 o'clock tomorrow and it's like it's Sunday and nothing's changed. So, in fairness, all is not lost. So, right, that is that out the way. No, it's not. Twitter, yeah, get those tweets coming at me, Zone Coverage FS. And if you've missed all that jargon, if you're thinking, oh my God, what's this guy up to? To be fair, I'm a little tired. I finished work around about 2:30 this morning. Some moron's car alarm was going off at 7:30, so 5 hours sleep, and I am in not the best mood, but never mind, I shall push through, so do not worry. So yeah, as I was saying, if you've missed all that, go to the website www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com. You'll find all the links and nonsense about myself on there. And you'll also find a list of features on the show, which moves me on nicely. We will set the hot route in a moment, which will be the sort of question of the day. So if you want to ring in, I'll give you the phone number for that now. It's 0161 818 4593. That is 01618. Yeah. 0161 818 4593. It's going to be a long 90 minutes. I feel like I say that every week. And also Skype, T-Smister, T-E-E-C-E, Mister, T-E-E-C-E, Mister on Skype there. So, right then, hot routes. We have the NFL news, quite a lot of news to go through in fairness. Fan versus fan segment. Wow, been let down this week. I've been pushing for Bears fans all week, and I mean all week. Bears fans just... Bears, wasn't there something else that NFL UK tweeted out that Patriots fans and Bears fans are two of the biggest supported in the UK? Utter nonsense in my eyes. Either they detest me because I'm a Jets fan, I can get that with the Pats, but I struggled for a Pats fan up until the last minute last week. And Bears fans, I've had a couple that said, oh, they're busy, I understand it's Saturday. And to be fair, the Bear Down UK Twitter handle, I was speaking to those nice chaps there, but they were tweeting it out and no one took me up on the offer. I don't get what's going on with that. So yeah, no fan versus fan this week. I did put out a last minute call to Saints and 49ers fans. It was last minute, so they have retweeted it, but unfortunately I've not been able to sort anything out. So no fan versus fan this week, which is shambolic. So never mind. I got a new segment though. It's called Weekend Words. I've got some quotes from around the league, various players and stuff. Just a bit of a filler, in fairness. The Love Line does return. If you are new to the Love Line feature, I'm going to tease it. You're going to have to stay listening and you will discover what the Love Line is all about. I've got Not So Great 8 with a twist. So not the usual who I think's the worst team in the world, well, in their division ever. So we have that. This week I've got the not so great 8 quarterbacks. So we shall see if you agree, disagree on those. Also, stats. I just randomly decided to do some stats. So I've a variety of stats we're going to go through. Fantasy 5 at 5, but it's going to be the Fantasy 5 at 2 o'clock today with Simon from @Dundee NFL. So you've got plenty of time to get your fantasy tweets and that over to the guys there. So that is @Dundee NFL. And also they've dropped a new podcast. I've yet to listen. I'll listen to that on my journey tomorrow down to Wembley. So get over to Fourth Down and do check that out, download it, retweet, and so on and so on. We will also look at the TV schedule, games coming up, and the usual schedule as well. Not just what's on TV, but the fixtures in general. What else do we have? Yeah, we'll have a quick run through the standings. And my mentions box is rather empty. So if you want to shout out, tweet me. Zone Coverage FS. Wow, I do believe that is that then. Let's get to it. We'll set the hot route. Let's get this hot route going. Today's hot route, statement games. I feel there's a few games this weekend, these head-to-head clashes, where the victor of that, should we consider them a serious contender? And you could maybe argue that they are a contender now. So we've got the 5-3 Dolphins against the 6-2 Lions. Dolphins have beat some good teams. It pains me to say this, but the Dolphins and Ryan Tannehill seem to have turned the corner after that rather bizarre incident in London where Philbin was like, we don't know who's starting. 2 seconds later, Tannehill's like, I'm the boss, I'm starting. And from then onwards, he's not looked back, in fairness. So he's using his legs as well. So the winner of that then, Dolphins, Lions. And you could argue that the Lions are, well, they're top of their division at the moment, 6-2, tied with the Packers. So yeah, it's there, it's in the mix. Also, the Chiefs and the Bills and the wild card race. The Chiefs have come from nowhere. I think everyone pretty much wrote the Chiefs off. Oh, they're going to be 2-3. Well, no, let's say a 4-5 win team. So that they're sitting in there as well. The Bills as well. Yeah, the Pats have got a tricky schedule coming up. The Bills and the Dolphins are seriously sniffing round the top of the AFC East there. We also had the 49ers and Saints game. This is a massive game as well. You could argue that the Saints could lose it because the South is just an absolute mess there. So you could probably win that division with 7 wins. It's as crazy as that sounds. That could happen. And the 49ers, well, they're hanging on at the moment with the Cardinals, who are on just unbelievable form at the moment. They continue to defy all odds. And Coach Arians there, Coach of the Year. It's done and dusted. It's not even worth anyone else even bothering trying, in fairness. So that is today's hot route then. Statement games. What stands out for you? Who do you, if someone wins today, are they then bang on your favourite going forward? Or can a team afford to take a step back for the week, and do you reckon they still be in a shout? In a shout for a playoff spot? And also, you've got any like dark horses, anyone's schedule that you can see, you're looking at now and you think, you know what? It's easy down the stretch. Maybe they could just come out of nowhere and make a late-term charge there. So that is your hot route today. The number to call, and you're going to have to call today, folks, because we've got no fan versus fan segment, so we might be struggling a bit. 0161 818 4593. That again, 0161 818 4593. Also, tweet me at Zone Coverage FS, and I will check in on Twitter now. Actually, before we move on, John Cartwright at Cartwright John, I'm thrilled to have my Chiefs over next year. You must be pleased to have your Jets over too. Good set of games for 2015. And he asked that as a question. Me personally, over the moon that my Jets are coming over the pond to take on the Dolphins. It scares me, in fairness, because we always how does it work now? Yeah, we always split those games. I think we win at their place, they win at ours. So yeah, technically we should win in Wembley, but either way we'll have a new quarterback, possibly a new head coach, and we'll have a new everything at that point. So we could be seeing Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota at Wembley, which could be pretty cool. But we'll touch on that when we get there. But yeah, I quite like the games, in fairness. Bills, Jags. Bills and Jags, two young, upcoming teams. Bills are playing out the skin at the moment. I've given the Bills a lot of love, in fairness, over the course of the last few last few shows, to be fair. Chiefs, as I say, the Chiefs, I wrongly wrote them off. I will hold my hands up now. I did not expect the Chiefs to be playing this well. That Tennessee, the first game aside, playing some good football. Travis Kelce, liking this guy, hearing a lot of people calling him a mini Gronk, which is some comparison. So Chiefs fans got to be excited about that. And what was the last game? Yeah, it was Chiefs-Lions. So the Lions return. So we could all get that opportunity to see Megatron and see what happens there. All in all, the reactions that I've seen, Chiefs fans in the USA seem really, really annoyed that they've given up a home game. But there's this new rule now. Well, not new rule, but new thing. Giving up a home game puts you in good stead for upcoming Super Bowl. So I do know the Dolphins are planning to do their stadium up. So they're looking for a Super Bowl down the line, as are the Chiefs. So that's the reasons for that, one would imagine. A bit annoying for those home fans. And as much as I do appreciate we get the games over here, I do feel sorry for those that have to surrender a game. It is a bit of a pain in the rear end. But these things happen, I'm afraid. So that could be another / part 2 of the Hot Route. Are you excited by the London games next year, 2015? Hit me up. Zone Coverage FS. Right then, let's get into some news, because there's a lot of news. So should have my little sound here. I never played my Herm Edwards sounder, did I, for the Hot Route? This is really poor of me. I could have killed 15 minutes and had a drink. Never mind. Here's the NFL news. NFL news. Right then, as mentioned, the Wembley games were announced. The first one is October the 4th, Jets at Dolphins. And then on October the 25th, we have the Bills at Jags. Back-to-back London games. Because the week after that, Lions at Chiefs. We still do not know the kickoff times for these games. That will be announced, as will ticket details moving forward. As soon as I hear anything, don't worry, I shall tweet that out, and you'll be hard pressed to miss that announcement. In fairness, talking of London, perfect segue here, the Lions have reinstated CJ Mosley. He was sent home from London. The team have offered no reason for that suspension, so a bit of a mystery what went on there. Packers head coach Mike McCarthy signed a multi-year extension. Eagles, Nick Foles has a broken clavicle, set to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Sanchez time in Philadelphia. Warning now, Eagles fans. People that are proclaiming that Sanchez is going to be unreal, take him to the Super Bowl, in this quarterback-friendly system. Sanchez is a tease. He will dazzle you with a few bright moments along the way and suck you in. And just when you begin to cheer for him, have that bit of faith. Pick City, I'm telling you. 4 years we watched Sanchez, and the last couple of seasons were painful. I was quite a strong Sanchez supporter. I gave him 2-3 seasons, and then the last couple, it's like, oh, this is just car crash now. Time to move on. I wish him all the best. I understand he's matured, and all that moving forward. So we'll see how that pans out. But Eagles fans, just beware of Sanchez. If he goes off this weekend, don't get too excited, because you never know what's around the corner with Sanchez. But he might prove me wrong, and if he does, I will hold my hands up and admit it. But just be careful. Texans running back Arian Foster is not set to miss any more time than the team's bye week. I think he had a groin strain or something. I forgot to write it down here. Anyway, he'll be fine. See him after the bye week. So the Jags have placed cornerback Will Blockman on IR, had surgery on his index finger. They signed linebacker Corey Fort to fill the roster spot. Dolphins safety Michael Thomas is out for the season with a chest injury. The 49ers have signed Kendall Hunter to a 1-year extension. And the Packers have waived Derek Sherrod, former first-round pick. The Giants cornerback Prince Amukamara is out for the season with a torn bicep. Another player returning to activation or active status is Colts Laron Landry. Shocker, he was suspended for 4 games. PED use. Again, never saw that one coming. Whereas more Eagles news. Eagles Todd Herriman is out for the season with a torn bicep. A team that probably has more quarterback woes than my Jets, and that is a bold statement here. Where's that gone now? I've moved up too far. Here's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have benched Mike Glennon and are going back to Josh McCown there. So I think McCown played about 2 and a bit games, looked a bit up and down. In fairness, I think it was finger or thumb that he injured, and Mike Glennon come in. Looked okay, sort of simmered out, and now they go back to McCown. Steelers duo Ryan Shazier and Troy Polamalu are out against the Jets. Adrian Peterson could return for the Vikings after solving his legal issues. He agreed to a deal in the Montgomery County, Texas courtroom that included pleading and no contest to 1 count of a misdemeanor reckless assault and no jail time. He's been placed on probation, will pay $4,000 fine and serve 80 hours of community service. He will also take parenting classes. Montgomery County District Attorney Brett Ligon said, and if he completes his probation without any form of incident, there won't even be a conviction on his record. I've seen a few bits of news stories and that's since about AP, so I'm not overly sure if we will be seeing him again this season. So that is sort of ongoing. I think that's a matter for he's on that special commissioner's list, isn't he? Exempt list, whatever that is, just made up nonsense. 49ers, Alden Smith is not returning early. He's not had his suspensions lifted. I can't remember when he's back, but I thought he's back soon. Anyway. The Texans, they've had a shave. Yeah, stunned silence there. By that I mean Ryan Fitzpatrick has been removed from the quarterback spot. The Texans have decided to switch it up, and Ryan Mallett, who thinks he's Eminem, or at least he did a few years ago when he come out, there's a lot of questions about his immature attitude and character. We'll see how that pans out. Obviously, we're a few years down the line, but yeah. Ryan Mallett, we need a Timmy Mallett Wackaday song theme tune here, don't we? It's Wackaday, Timmy Mallett and all that sort of nonsense for those old enough to remember that. So yeah, Timmy Mallett, that'd be interesting. Timmy Mallett or Ryan Mallett. Zone coverage, FS, hit me up on that. In all seriousness, Ryan Fitzpatrick, that he's chucked to one side, and Ryan Mallett is now the starter. This one was absolute pure genius for my Jets. An anti-John Idzik banner was attached to a plane and was seen circling round over the Jets practice on Wednesday. And there were some absolutely belting pictures of this. John Idzik's there sort of like looking up in the skies of all the players. There's been a variety of quotes on that since. And since this incident, the no-fly zone around the Jets practice facility has been extended. To whoever did that, whoever you are, I tip my hat. I like random stuff like that. People that just are that disillusioned and angry with a franchise that they just go out the way in the most spectacular and random ways and probably money out their own pocket as well. I applaud that. There's no sort of like nasty, aggressive sort of protest where people are smashing bottles and fist fighting with each other and stuff. It's just a plane with a big banner on. I think that's hilarious. So I tip my hat to that, sir. Well done, whoever you are. Where are we now on the news? The Chiefs have extended fullback Anthony Sherman. I didn't get the details on that. I think it might have been a 1-year extension. Obviously, the lead blocker for Jamal Charles, one of the best fullbacks in the game. Ravens cornerback Jimmy Smith, he is done for the year following surgery on his foot. And then last night, the Cardinals, they signed Carson Palmer to a 3-year, $50 million extension. $20 million of which is guaranteed. What are your thoughts on that, Cardinals fans? Are you happy with that? Good, bad move? What's the crack there? Because there's a few people that have been signing big contracts in the off-season. I'm thinking of Andy Dalton, who put on an absolute horror show the other day. You know who Andy Dalton reminds me of? Going back full circle now, this will tie in. He's like a ginger Sanchez. And sorry if you are ginger and listening, please don't be offended by that. He's a red Sanchez. That's what I'm trying to say. He's been okay. Mate, Sanchez, you can argue better in off-season and all that. you can't compare the two when it comes to off-season, but he got this big money deal and it showed regressing, stupid, ridiculous throws. It's just, Sanchez, Dalton is the new Sanchez, and that is bad. Sanchez regressed bad, and maybe it was a one-off. I hope for Bengals fans that it is, and this sort of ongoing joke that is Andy Dalton is put to bed. But fear not, Bengals fans, you can get out of his contract next year, I do believe. Right then, the last piece of news that I've seen, Ravens, Terrell Suggs, he got fined $8,268, a very precise amount. How did he figure this out? I don't know. It's not like 10 grand bad hit, 20 grand for wearing head. Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? You get 10 grand fine for wearing headphones, but you can do a late hit on someone. Anyway, he got $8,268 fine for the late hit on Steelers running back LeGarrette Blount. That was last Sunday's late night game where Ben Roethlisberger went off yet again. And that rounds up your news. It is very, very quiet today. To be expected, in fairness. I would imagine there's a lot of you travelling down to Wembley. And there's quite a few people already there. They've managed to witness the walkthrough of the Cowboys practice. So if you're there or listening back Monday, Tuesday, whenever, in the form of a podcast, which you can find on iTunes and Stitcher, a good segue there by myself. Let me know how that was, how that went, what sort of that entailed. Apart from, walkthrough, it sounds pretty obvious, but you know what I mean. But did he do anything else? I've seen cheerleaders and stuff, so what happened there? So that is your news from this past week. Obviously, I might have missed a few bits, but that brings us, you're pretty much updated there, I feel. Right then, a week in words, a new feature. I've got no funky sound effect. Talking of sound effects, Simon, if you are listening, we do have a new Fantasy 5 at 5 theme tune for you. It is by the Kinks. You did ask for a new sort of a rock sort of thing. So yeah, we will play that when you come on around 40 minutes time, sir. So the week in words goes a little like this. A few quotes that I just thought, were noteworthy, so I've jotted them down. Thought I'd share these with you, just in case you missed them randomly. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin bans dancing. Yes, this sort of refers to when the kickoff team has been seen dancing back and forth before the ball is kicked. His quote goes like this: "Quite frankly, I need an accent, but I'm not even going to try. Quite frankly, it was ridiculous. Guys dancing around so forth before the ball is kicked, and then getting one run back on them is unacceptable. You won't see our kickoff team dancing anymore." So yeah, no dancing in Pittsburgh. Thoughts on that one? 0161 818 4593. I will remind you again, Statement Games is the hot route question of the day. Oh yeah, this is a bad sort of statement, really. Marcus Lattimore, 49ers player, he's yet to grace the field. Two horrific knee injuries during his college days with South Carolina. He's decided to hang up his boots now. He can't get over those injuries, and he is returning to college there. So sad news. I feel for Marcus. Someone not on any form of scale that Marcus is going through, but yeah, I'm awaiting ACL surgery myself, so I can imagine that is hard for you. Your hopes and dreams absolutely shattered, but the 49ers have done right by him. They've paid him in full his contract and stuff, from what I'm aware, and he has got an insurance policy. I know the money doesn't help when it comes to having dreams shattered and all that, but at least he's got a little something to fall back on. His statement goes like this: "After prayer and careful consideration, I have decided it's time to end my professional football career. I have given my heart and soul to the game that I love, and it's time for me to move on to the next chapter of my life and help others. I have given every ounce of my energy toward making a full recovery from my knee injury, and I have made a lot of progress. Unfortunately, getting my knee fully back to the level that NFL demands has proven to be insurmountable." So yeah, Marcus Lattimore, I wish you the very best moving forward, sir. And yeah, bad news there for you. And then on to Peyton Manning. This was a statement after the Broncos ass whooping at the hands of the Pats last Sunday. His quote goes like this: "I stunk today. I need to play better and usually can overcome some things. I didn't do that today." You can't overcome cold weather, Peyton Manning. That seems to be your Achilles heel. Cue the Peyton Manning apologies there. Yes, Peyton Manning is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. It's just an observation. Quite a few people are banging on about that, in fairness. The next quote comes from the Buccaneers' Gerald McCoy. Had a bit of rant about the state of the losing and stuff and the attitude towards that. And that goes along the lines of, can you hear some moron peeping? That better not be that guy from earlier on that woke me up. The mic will drop and you will hear me run off and some expletives. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, moving on. What was I saying? Just any need for that. Right, Gerald McCoy, again, have a quote from me and a man about that moron in the roundabout. Anyway, I don't think anyone is upset enough with losing. Every time the game is over, we sit there and say, oh, they made a play, we didn't. When are we going to get tired of that? I've been dealing with this for 5 years. I'm tired of it. You've got to get tired of losing, man. So Gerald McCoy there expressing his frustration with the sort of like a lackluster sort of attitude and demeanour within the Bucs room there. So he's sort of calling out his teammates to show a bit of fighting spirit moving forward. Texans head coach Bill O'Brien on the news that I referred to here about Timmy Mallett. Yeah, I did that on purpose. Timmy Mallett going on the centre for the next game. He said, I think we have to evaluate everything, he said via the Houston Chronicle. I think we have to look at it as far as what we're doing offensively. We have to look at who's playing what positions they're playing, how we're getting the ball, how we're playing at every position, including the quarterback. We have to look at it all. So whilst they're on their bye week, a bit of roster evaluation moving forward. And another interesting quote that I found from Jay Gruden on the quarterback situation in Washington. It says, we get a look at Kirk Cousins, we get a look at Colt McCoy, and now it's back to Robert. So the jury is out on that position. But we feel good about Robert's progress so far. So basically, he's just feeling the stress and pressure of what's going on in there. No matter who's going in, it's just not working for the Redskins. So moving on to Jadeveon Clowney, that's sort of drawn a lot of negative comments, and there's a few stories and that surfacing over the course of the past week or so about his sort of attitude and how he's coming across. He had Warren Sapp, I think it was on NFL Network, and it goes along the lines of this: you're disappointing us and you're wearing out your coaches and everyone down in Houston. So LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, who's quite possibly one of the most well-mannered people that I've ever met. He doesn't look like he's got a nasty word in him, as LT. But yeah, his sort of statement on Clowney says, that's a character flaw to me. One thing we always try to preach about young athletes is giving them too much early. That's what happens. They don't want to work for it anymore. So these big contracts, do they have an adverse effect on the mental approach going forward? I don't know. You can argue both sides of the coin on that. Andrew Luck doesn't seem to have any problems with the pressure and the money getting to his head. He's just laid back, chills, rocks a neck beard and goes about it. So I don't see what the issue is there. But yeah, some people, I suppose it's, like I say, everyone's different. Which, as annoying as that can be at times, it's good. If we were all the same, it'd be quite boring. We need some characters and idiots amongst us to give everyone else something to talk about, in fairness. So that is sort of the week in words, some interesting quotes that I have seen over the course of the last 7 days. There's loads of stuff out there, but that's the sort of stuff I was jotting down towards the beginning of the week. So again, the phone lines are open: 0161 818 4593, T-Smister on Skype, TEECE Mister on Skype, and Twitter. Yeah, nothing's happening on Twitter today. I would assume everyone is either watching the Chelsea-Liverpool game or just really can't be bothered with the show today. Anyway, I do hope you are listening back via iTunes, Spreaker, or you could have just pressed play 4 o'clock on Sunday, and it was like the show was there as normal. Right then, on to my next little feature that I have. No, yes, Yes, that's right. I will save that one for after the Love Line. So now it's time for the Love Line music. Here we go.
Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show, Love Line.
Right then, the Love Line, if you are new to the show, welcome aboard. It's basically where we give the big guys on either side of the line a little bit of love. Hence the title, a Love Line. As you all know by now, the quarterbacks are the pin-up boys of the NFL. So these star wide receivers and cornerbacks, they're getting in on the act now with these huge contracts and flashy clotheslines and all that sort of nonsense that goes hand in hand with that. But the big guys, basically, without these guys on the line protecting these quarterbacks and all that and pressuring the QBs, these superstars wouldn't be as grand and super as they are. So the first person on today's Love Line is Jeff Schwartz as a guard for the New York Giants. I've remembered this week, you'll remember a few weeks back, I even forget the guy's name, that I wrote down that someone was 6 foot. And I forgot 6 foot what. So it was 6 foot odd. But you'll be pleased to know that Jeff Schwartz is 6'6". He weighs 340 pounds. He was born in LA. He played his college ball for the good old Oregon Ducks. Oregon Ducks, my college team. And I say that loosely because I've only caught one of the games so far this year. Drawn at stupid o'clock. And that's how I became a Ducks fan, because I work nights and then making a transition back to sleeping at night at the weekends, which can be difficult. I found myself watching ESPN at some daft hour. And the Ducks, I sort of adopted them because they, always seem to be on. Excuse me again. Anyway, during his time at high school, he started in both basketball and baseball. He played both ways, either side of the ball. He even had a bash at being a long snapper. And during his time then at college with the Oregon Ducks, 41 games, making 36 starts. He was then drafted by the Carolina Panthers in the 7th round, 241th pick overall. He spent 4 years then with the, where has he gone? Panthers. Did I say Panthers? Yes, Panthers. His rookie year was spent mainly on the practice squad, and then the next year he was elevated to a starting role. And his third year he was then placed on IR with a hip injury. And he also had a season with the Minnesota Vikings where he played in 13 games. He was then with the Chiefs last year for 16 games, making 7 starts. And then in March of this year, as a free agent, he signed a 4-year, $16.8 million contract, $6.2 million of which is guaranteed, as he became a member of the New York Giants. He's seeking to be made active this week because he's been put on the IR designated to return list because he's been out with a dislocated toe. So that is Jeff Schwartz, a guard for the New York Giants, who I believe they got the Seahawks this week, and that would be quite a win if they managed to beat the Seahawks there. So then on to our second nomination. Nomination. By the way, I've said numerous times by now, if you've got one of these big guys on your line that you want to sing the praises of, just drop me a line at Zone Coverage FS or Zone Coverage Football Show at mail.com as well. You can email me anytime you want, any sort of questions you want to ask. You can even ask questions about me if that's of your choosing. So feel free to do that. So there you are. That is Zone Coverage Football Show at mail.com. I just go off randomly and then I'll look back at my notes. I haven't got a clue where I was. So on to our second Love Line contestant. That sounds even weirder. Love Line nominee, yeah. Is John Asamoah, another guard. He currently plays for the Atlanta Falcons. He is 6'4", 305 pounds. He was born in Madison, Illinois. He played his college ball for Illinois, where he was part of the line that helped Rashard Mendenhall become a Big 10 Player of the Year for 2010. Wow, I couldn't say that. I got through the Rashard Mendenhall pretty easy, and then couldn't say Big 10 Player of the Year 2010. Anyway, he was then drafted by the Chiefs in the 2010 draft and the third round, 68th pick overall. He made one start during his rookie season. In total, he started 41 games during his 4-year tenure with the Chiefs. He was then signed by the Falcons in March, where I believe he's making around about $4.5 million a year. So that is John Asamoah and Jeff Schwartz. Congratulations, you feature on today's Love Line.
Welcome to the Zone Coverage Football Show Love Line.
And that's enough of that. I just needed to play that so I could have a quick drink of juice. A little peek behind the curtain there. So right then, you will notice that this episode is called Quotes and Stats. I've got the quotes out the way. Now on to the stats, but after the Not So Great 8 with a twist that does involve some stats. So the Not So Great 8, again, if you're a new listener, is sort of like a power rankings opposite. You will, familiar listeners, whatever. Yeah. This brain fart. So yeah, it's like power rankings, but it's not. Basically, judging on what I've seen over the course of the last few weeks, I rank teams that I believe to be at the bottom of the division, hence 8 divisions. Not so great 8. This is as polite as I could put it. So this week I am going quarterbacks, and I've done some on the season as a whole, who I feel have been a disappointment, and I've done some on current form. And these are by they're in no particular order, so they're just names on a list. I'm not going 8 to 1, who I think is the worst. These are just 8 quarterbacks that I feel have either underperformed on the season or have underperformed in the last few weeks. So the first name that I've got on my list is Kirk Cousins. He has 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2 fumbles. He's lost them both. He's been sacked 8 times. And in 3 games this year, he's failed to post a quarterback rating of over 20. I don't know if that's right. There, that might be wrong. But yeah, Kirk Cousins basically has come in. He had the perfect opportunity, and he's thrown that away for me. He just let that slip by. I just don't get it. Kirk is now, people were looking at giving up a 2 and a 1, a 2 and a 3 and all sorts for him 12 months ago. I bet he's glad he didn't do that, because you'd be hard pushed to get a 6 or 7 for him on the current form he is in. So next on my list, I did have a sounder. Well, how did that go now? What is it now? Yeah, so Kirk Cousins. Might be a little bit harsh. Hate is a strong word, so I just thought it'd be funny. Anyway, on to the next person who this song is quite fitting for, after I've given up on defending him. Geno Smith, 7 touchdowns, 10 picks. He's completed a pass over 30 yards twice all season. He's completed just 55% of his he's only completed over 55% of his passes in three games. And these are his quarterback ratings, if you're into that nonsense. They're the worst ever. 32.3, 54.9, 20.5, 12.3, 3.1, 41.9, 59.8, and the creme de la creme, 0. That game he got benched against the Bills. So, Geno Smith. Anyway, so on to the next quarterback on the list. And you could argue that this is very harsh of me. Josh McCown, basically failing to live up to the hype. And I know that he only had those couple of games. He had 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. But those interceptions, the most comical, most bizarre, the worst interceptions I've ever seen. Pretty much topping the one that Matt Ryan actually threw the other week at Wembley, which was a bizarre one as well. So, Josh McCown makes the list. A little bit harsh, but hey-ho. Another quarterback that's failed to impress me on the season as a whole has been E.J. Manuel. Failed to post over 240 yards in any game. Completed 58% of his passes, and the quarterback rating freaks amongst you, he's posted a quarterback rating of 8.4 and 7.4 in his last 2 games before being benched. So, yeah, I would imagine a lot of Bills fans. Yeah. Anyway, so moving on, this one, Brian Hoyer I'd got on the list prior to Thursday night's game. I did these in like Tuesday, Wednesday of the week. Then Brian Hoyer sort of went off. Numbers-wise, maybe not, but he had a damn good game. Over his last 3 games prior to the Thursday night game, I will add, he'd had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, completed 20 passes or more just once in that span. They do sort of game manager Hoyer, in fairness. His completion percentage of 57%. And Simon, he was on the show for the Fantasy 5 at 5. It is coming up in 20 minutes' time. There was a bizarre stat where he'd completed 8 passes in the one game, and it just not been convincing. There was sort of chatter of it, and another quarterback called John Football, something like that. So yeah, but hopefully he's put that to bed. So Brian Hoyer is probably a harsh sort of name on this list right now. So Brian, you will escape the music. But Andy Dalton, the Red Sanchez alert. This was before Thursday, and so this is going to be quite relaxed because he'd only got 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He still only has 2 touchdowns, but now that's in his last 4 games. He's thrown multiple touchdowns in a game just 3 times. He has 8 games. What's he got? 8 games. He'd got 8 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So that now reads 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions after the Thursday night game. Andy Dalton, who was historically bad. There was actually tweets and stuff going around, things lower than Andy Dalton's quarterback rating or things smaller than Andy Dalton's quarterback rating. So maybe that could be a thing for the Dundee NFL podcast, because I know that they do about Russell Duke, a man so wee. He's smaller than Andy Dalton's quarterback rating. Feel free to use that one, guys. So that's one for the show. At Dundee NFL, do feel free to get your fantasy questions over to them. And Russell, it's meant in jest. I'm only joking, mate. Love you, really. Anyway, moving on then to the next one on the list. Philip Rivers, he started off on MVP pace, and I think those words actually come out my mouth, that Philip Rivers, I think I did a list actually, like a quarter season review, and Philip Rivers has been in outstanding form. I reeled off a load of stats saying how good he was. Last 3 games he's been really bad. 5 TDs, 6 interceptions, completed over 55% of his passes just the once. Shutout last week against the Dolphins in a mighty impressive win by them. So yeah, Philip Rivers makes the list basically just for his performance of late, and that is sort of the main sort of jest that how I do the not so great 8 feature usually. So yeah, Rivers, you make the list unfortunately, though. Hopefully you can turn that round for the sake of those Bolts fans out there. Nick Foles as well. The last 3 games, he has thrown as many touchdowns as he has picks, 5. It's been very erratic. But Foles has the double wow factor. I'll explain what the double wow factor is. Sometimes you'll sit there and you'll go, wow, what a throw. And other times you'll go, wow, what a dumbass pick. That is an absolute crazy throw. He has a completion rate of just under 60%. But this one jumped out at me. His quarterback ratings that he posted, 35.2, 22, 57.3 and 39.2. So that is my not-so-great 8 with a twist, quarterback style. Agree, disagree, zone coverage, FS. 0 tweets today. I assume that everyone's having an absolutely fantastic day out and about on the booze or on their way to Wembley. So fingers crossed you're listening back to this later in the week. But even still, hit me up. Let me know. Zone coverage FS. I do have an interesting fact about rookies. Rookie quarterbacks, in fact. Right then. It goes along the lines of this. Rookie quarterback, Derek Carr, Teddy the Gloved Wonder Bridgewater, and Blake Bortles all have a better completion percentage than Brian Hoyer. This again before Thursday. Nick Foles, Cam Newton, that surprised me, Geno Smith and Mike Lennon. So that is your interesting fact of the day. Right then, let's move on to another segment that I have put a lot of thought into there. Stats Entertainment. So I was bored in the week and I decided to go back through all 9 games of this season to see how many points had been scored since we had these new rules of this, the flags and stuff. So more friendly offensive friendly. And the defensive players, basically, if you even smile in the direction of a receiver, flag. So, yeah, is it ruining the game? Yeah, I can argue that. I want some tough, hard, smash-mouth football in the trenches for me. Yeah, 50, 60 points, fantastic stuff, entertainment value, and I get why you're pushing that high-scoring, phenomenal games. I don't want to see blowouts. In fairness, I would take a 2017 brutal battle affair over a 50 to 30 game, in all fairness. That I'd prefer that, but I'm of the old school mindset. I like the rough, tough football. So here we go. Through 9 weeks of the season, 6,190 points have been scored, with 8 games going into overtime. I went back and thought, I'll compare this to last year. So 2013 season, through 9 weeks, 6,211 points scored. So these rules have affected us, really, because all these flags and that, we've been robbed of 3 touchdowns, 21 points difference. So get on to Roger about that. 7 games and that same time span went to overtime there. There's only been 1 game where both teams have scored 35 points or more, and that was during the Bengals-Panthers 37 all tied this year. And the one that happened last season, the Redskins beat the Bears 45-41. So both teams going over 35 points through the first 9 weeks of the season is very, very rare. So I thought, in fairness, that is maybe a bit harsh. I set the benchmark very, very high. So I thought, right, okay then, let's go. Let's see how many times and how many games that both teams have scored 30 points each. That's happened 5 times this season. But last year, through 9 weeks of the season, it happened 11 times, which I did find quite shocking, in fairness. I went full-on geek this week. I found some offensive drive statistics. The Indianapolis Colts lead the way with 115 drives, which have resulted in 32 touchdowns, 20 field goals, 14 turnovers, either interception or fumbles. But the next one shocked me. The next team with the most drives, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 113. But in their 113 drives, it's vastly different from the Colts, who scored 32 touchdowns. The Jags have scored 16 touchdowns and 10 field goals. Then they have 19 turnovers. But there's only one team that has had more turnover, fumbles or interceptions than the Jags, and that is the Eagles with 20. The Chiefs, they have the least amount of offensive drives. They have 82. The teams with the most 3 and outs are as follows. My miserable New York Jets, 30. The Jacksonville Jaguars are up next with 28. Oh, Huddle Magazine are ringing. So, hello, Tom.
Hello, long-time listener, first-time caller.
That threw me then for a minute.
Yeah, you're all right, mate.
I'm all right, mate.
I just thought I'd come in, seeing as you're talking about the AFC South, chatting about the Colts and the Jaguars and productivity. So, I mean, that's quite a good stat that you've dug up there, the offensive drive stat.
Yeah, I've been full-on geeking out this week. I thought last week was quiet on the phones and that. I think I've thrown people out, so I thought I best do a bit of research this week.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it just highlights that executing when it counts is the difference. I mean, you know, the positive thing for me is it shows that if Jacksonville can make the right moves during the off season, if we can start putting those drives to good use, it shows where we can be as a team. So it's a positive thing in terms of what we're doing. That really we're competing with the Colts on every level, except we're just not getting it done at the end of drives. And I mean, once we can start executing that, it just means that as a team we'll be much better. And I think that's kind of what Gus Bradley's been promising us and what every Jaguars fan wants to see. So it's kind of good news that stat's there and we're doing that.
Yeah, it did shock me, in fairness. I was like, wow, really? I was expecting maybe the Pats or the Broncos up next.
Yeah, I would have thought the Broncos, you know, but I suppose it's just with the Broncos, it's fewer drives. They're just more ruthless with them.
Yeah, so, that's fairness, yeah.
I mean, as I say, we keep hearing how the Jaguars are getting better from like Gus Bradley and Dave Caldwell. So when you hear them saying that, and you kind of see the way games are going, that we're not winning or we're not really progressing in terms of number of wins. A stat like that shows that actually it does back up a little bit of what they're saying, that we are getting better and we're doing more. We're just not ruthless and executing just yet. But I mean, a young offense. That's something that will come with time, I think.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Blake Bortles? He started off okay, seems to have been struggling the last couple of weeks. Any sort of anything you can pinpoint there? Or
I think really it's just that first season type thing. Yeah. I mean, look at Cam Newton in his first season. He wasn't the super Cam that he is today in terms of winning games. The bits that I've seen of Bortles, I mean, as you know, I've been travelling the last couple of weeks, so I've only seen little snippets of Bortles for the last couple of games, but the bits that I've seen, he's capable of getting it done when the right pieces are put in place for him. And I'll look at games and just think it's the first season. He's going to get better. He'll execute better next year. Through the pre-season, it'll be that different approach of he'll be working with the first team right from the word go, instead of having to share the first team reps with Chad Henne. So it's just a progression, I think, that will come through the first year. It's to be expected that he's not going to be, top of the shop right now. Few quarterbacks are, and I think I'd be more worried if he was, looking at RG3 the way he was in his first season and how that's ended up. Yeah, I think I'd probably be more worried if he was leading us towards the playoffs right now, because that can only drop off from there. So
yeah, that's true. And in fairness, I don't know if you caught it earlier, but Bortles does have a better completion percentage than the formerly mentioned Cam Newton and Nick Foles, in fairness. I
mean, this is it. So it's one of those where he's going in the right direction, and hopefully tomorrow at Wembley, he'll keep going in that direction, make some plays, and and hopefully we'll see the Jaguars compete with Dallas tomorrow. So it's just... Sorry, the dog just barking in the background there.
I was going to say, is the dog as excited as you are to see the Jags tomorrow?
She's excited about whoever's coming up to the door, I think. But yeah, as I say, it's just one of those things that if you can make the plays tomorrow and execute, and we can compete with Dallas, I'll be happy with that, because I think we just need to start being the games need to be closer, if you know what I mean. We seem to be getting close to competing with teams, and that's what we need. We need to be finishing games off, and they need to be close run things. And I mean, we saw that a couple of weeks ago with Scobie's terrible miss of the field goal. Everything was in place for us to win that game, and that one thing happened. It needs to be more like that on a week by week basis, I think. And as Bortles progresses, I think it will get like that.
What are your gut feelings then? If I had to push you for a score tomorrow, or what? Obviously a win would be very nice, but if you didn't win, just like a competitive...
The fan in me wants to say that the Jaguars are going to win, and it's going to be kind of 24-20 or 24-21.
I'd love a game like that close.
I would. It'd be a great game, and the fan in me wants to see the Jaguars win. And obviously any win will be a good win, but also I want to see a good game. But in reality, I think, if Romo does start and is able to play and execute, and with the way that DeMarco Murray's been running the ball and the way that offensive line unit is, yes, our defense has got better, but we really are going to struggle to contain the way that offense is playing right now. So there's the potential for it to be a blowout. And I just hope it doesn't go like last year's game against San Francisco, where San Francisco just got into such a big lead that it just kind of tailed off in the second half. The first half, it was okay. By the second half, it was just pretty boring, because there was no chance of a comeback, and it was just like, well, the game's pretty much over now. And I pretty much like the Raiders-Dolphins game went. So
yeah,
I don't want it to be like that. I'd much rather it be a closer game. Kind of in the way it was with the Lions and Falcons. It wasn't close at one stage, but it got there, didn't it? And that atmosphere was brilliant. So
what, as you were talking about the Wembley games then, Tom, thoughts on the games that have been slated for next year? Good, bad, or just like...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what people are moaning about, personally. I see them as some good matchups. They're going to see a divisional game in Miami and New York.
Yeah.
So, I might be wrong, but the first divisional game that we're possibly going to see at Wembley, I think Jacksonville playing Buffalo is another good one. Jacksonville might actually win a game that I'm actually at, which will be good. But
I said earlier, that's two good young teams going head to head there.
That's the way I'm looking at it. You've got a good young quarterback, or not brilliant, but decent young quarterback in EJ Manuel. Sammy Watkins, high draft pick this year coming over. Bills are probably going to be in a position to make another high draft pick this season, so another high draft pick for them. Jaguars are going to make another high draft pick, so another good young pair of young offenses with high draft picks. So that could potentially be a really good competitive game.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't see where the moaning is about that. And I mean, Kansas City, it's just kind of time that Kansas City came over. They've been keep saying that they wanted to come over. And I mean, it's not unsurprising that Detroit wouldn't want to return after the experience that they've had. I'm a bit surprised they've returned as the away club. I thought they'd probably, with what Matt Stafford was saying in the press conference afterwards, I would have thought they might have pumped for being the home team and seen what it was like to get the Wembley support behind them instead of against them. So, but I personally don't see those as bad matchups.
No.
I think they're potentially quite competitive games, and that's what we want to see. I don't want to see three teams come over that are, I don't want to see Denver come over and play, I don't know,
the Titans
Buffalo.
Or someone,
or the Titans, because you know where that game's going, you know what the result's really going to be, and it's not going to be that competitive, and it's going to trail off and be a bit boring. Unless you're a Denver fan, you're not really going to enjoy that game. And let's face it, it's the same with each of the games. You want them to be competitive. If you're a fan of that team, you still want the game to be competitive because you want to see a good game. But if you're a neutral, you also want it competitive. So I think they've picked quite well. I'm not upset by it. I think I'm quite positive about it. And I mean, I'm not just kind of towing the NFL's line. If I'd thought it was a bad choice, I'd say it was a bad choice. I mean, I wouldn't have said the Raiders was a particularly good choice this year. Yeah. I don't think anyone expected the Raiders to be winning many games this season. So I think that was a particularly bad choice for one of the games this year. But I think they've done quite well with next year's. And it'll be interesting to see how the pitch holds up on the back-to-back game at the end of October, first week, November.
Yeah, I can imagine whatever happens, there'd be some rumblings from the FA somewhere along the line.
Oh, I mean, Roy Hodgson's already started yesterday, hasn't he? I tweeted out on our Twitter handle, at Huddle Magazine, for anyone who wants to come over and follow us. I tweeted out that article that was on BBC Sport that Roy Hodgson's already moaning that it's cutting the pitch up and how it's going to impact England's friendlies. I mean, the answer to that is play England's friendlies somewhere else, because... Yeah. Play it in the northeast, and you might find that you actually fill the stadium for people wanting to see the England games. Because at the moment they can get 24,000 in to see England play against Norway. Well,
it's been brutal.
That game could have been played at Upton Park, and it still wouldn't have been full.
Yeah,
West Ham's ground. Do you know what I mean? So when you're bringing in 90,000 people into the stadium like the NFL is, then you can start talking about who should have preference of the pitch. Is my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's all about the money. You got all the events and everything going on around. So yeah, money talks, Roy. I'm afraid.
But this is it. We're filling that stadium three times this in the space of 12 weeks. How many times have you filled that stadium in the space of 12 weeks, Roy? And that's the answer to that one I'd give. He can moan all he likes with the FA, but the long and short of it is the NFL fills that stadium, and the FA want their money for the investment they made on it. So I don't think, regardless of whether the pitch holds up, anything will be said from the FA or about the games coming. I think more importantly for us, it'll be how is the pitch after the first game, and then how does that impact on the second game? Yeah,
that's a fair point. 'Cause I know Stafford referenced it again in the press conference, didn't he? Said it cut up a little easy.
This is it. So if that's cut up already and it's not hard, I mean, it has a kind of 3-4 week period of recovery usually. I mean, it's had 2 weeks this time. How's it going to fare with 7 days? I mean, potentially they're going to have to get that roof closed during the 7 days because the weather might not be as nice as it's been this year. So all things like that could really impact on the quality of game that we get out of Kansas City and Detroit a week after Jacksonville, Buffalo. So it'll be interesting to see how these things hold up. And in another sense, I'll be interested to see how the ticket sales go as well.
Yeah, do you think then that this is sort of like, in a weird kind of way, a test of like the resources and stuff for maybe like a franchise that did do, say, a 4-game stint in Wembley, then 4 overseas? So how does the pitch hold up?
I think it is. I think this is a tester for, could the UK market sell the stadium out back to back, week after week? And because, I mean, realistically, if you're basing a franchise over here, as I just see an advert come on the TV for tomorrow's game actually, but if you're basing a team over here, I think you've got to look at the impact of whether people can afford to pay week after week after week to fill the stadium. You're always going to get season ticket holders who are going to buy up the full season. Those that can afford to will, but there are going to be other people that are going to have to pick and choose the games they attend, and it's whether they're willing to turn up 1 week after the next. Do you know what I mean? So, or whether there's the demand for it 2 weeks in a row. I think at this stage there probably is, because there's only 3 games to choose from. This, I think, is the basis of a test that when it expands to more games, I think that's where we'll start to see the truth. I think we were discussing it at Wembley with myself, you and Gary Jordan were discussing it, weren't we, at half-time, where we were saying that as the more games come across, that's really the test for the NFL, and you know, the sustainability of having that many games here once the prices start to reach into the £150, £200 to attend all the games. You know, I mean, a lot of people buy multiple tickets now. Will they be able to afford to buy 5 games worth of tickets? And that's them. I think the true test comes of how many of the sort of floating fans, the fans that are not flocking to Wembley because it's their only opportunity to get to an NFL game, how many of them are going to pick the phone up or go on the internet and buy the tickets then and chip in for the odd game here and there?
Yeah, that's very true. Without being rude, Tom, can I just jump off? I've just had Simon pop up, and I know he's busy for the fantasy segment, and we can touch back base in a moment if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I need to go out and do a few things, so I'll catch you later. I'll probably drop you a text message or something, and I'll see you tomorrow at Wembley at some point as well, hopefully. So I'll let you get on, and a pleasure to speak to you, and thanks to everyone who's listened to my ramblings again. No news for you today for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always is.
No news to be had right now. So no news right now. But
we'll get some tweeted out.
Follow us on Twitter tomorrow. I'll be tweeting out news tomorrow, where I would normally ring in and give the news on air. We'll tweet it out instead, and I'm sure Mark will probably retweet that as well. So
yeah, we'll do that.
I'll catch you later, mate.
Okay then, Tom. Appreciate the call, mate. Take care.
No problem. Cheerio,
bye. Mate. Bye. And that was Tom from Huddle Magazine. So he'll be at Wembley again tomorrow. So check out at huddlemagazine.com. And I do believe, Simon, you were ringing me. So try again, sir. I'm trying to get that up now. So Fantasy 5 at 2 today. So Simon, if you are listening, we have freed up the phone lines, sir, so I don't know if you can try again there. Right then, where was I? I was halfway through the stats entertainment segment. I can't remember where I got to. Yes, I was running through the list of the teams with the most free and outs. I believe I'd run through the Jets at 30, Jags 28, Raiders have got 27, as have the Bills, Cards and Browns 24 free and outs, followed by the Pats, Texans and Titans. Oh, here's Simon now. So, hello, Simon.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
I am very well, sir. I saw your number pop up earlier. Tom was on the line, so I managed to be my rude and abrupt self and chop him off so we could get you on, sir.
That's it. Get rid of him. Get rid of him for the newly entitled Fantasy Fud at 1400.
I like that one a lot. And as we are on the talking of new stuff, we have a new theme tune. You demanded rock last week, sir.
I did indeed.
So here we go. So that's is the Rock and Roll Fantasy by the Kinks.
By the Kinks. I was just about to ask you who it was. Yeah, I sort of recognised the voice, but I wasn't quite sure who it was. So the Kinks, right? Oh, look out for that one. Then.
Yeah. So I was just googling stuff with the words fantasy in, and he says he spends his life living in a different reality and fantasy. I thought, well, that pretty much sums up fantasy football for some of us.
I was going to say, don't we all?
So how have you been,
in
sir?
one way or another.
How are things your end?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Even better, let's just scrub the fancy. Let's talk about the Browns' fantastic victory over the Bengals on Thursday night, shall we?
Yeah, I'm down for that. I did send a tweet out to you and Russell asking how the banter went, because we can rewind back an entire week when the Browns beat the Bucs. So how's that back and forth been going?
Oh, it was really good, actually. I mean, Russell could only watch I think he only watched like the first quarter, the first half, something like that, because he promised his missus a night out at the pictures where they went to see the new Ninja Turtles movie. How could he do that in such an important game? I don't know, but there you go.
Well, think about it. He's gone. He's basically gone Megan Fox rather than the Misery, hasn't he?
He has, hasn't he? And yeah, fair enough. Sorry, Russell. But yeah, the banter was pretty good, actually. I know he was underplaying it a little bit, because I think he was just disappointed in the way that the Bucs have played, but I suppose he's getting used to it a little bit, isn't he, this season, with them only winning. Have they won one game? I think they have, haven't they? Yeah, of course they have. They beat the Steelers, didn't they, a few weeks ago?
Yes, they did, yeah. I feel his misery.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty. We did the podcast this week. I think it's gone up today, so anybody out there, just listen to if you can download the Dundee NFL podcast, that would be very, very grateful. On that one, quick plug there, Mark.
Yeah, I do believe I tweeted that out earlier. I will retweet that for you, so I will listen probably on my journey tomorrow.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Much appreciated.
No problem, sir. So what sort of fancy news do we have? I know we're a day early, so we've got a perfect excuse this week, in fairness, if someone goes down with injury or something.
Yeah, well, not that I generally sort of just use ignorance as an excuse. But I can't do that this week. Just a few things this week, really. I focused on quarterbacks and running backs for change this week. So we've got bye weeks for the Colts, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Texans, and the Washington franchise, I think, this week. So again, everybody out there, just check your players on your team and see who's playing, who's not, who's on the bye week, and just see who you can pick up, really.
Oh, as always, great tradition there. We cut off midway, and we always seem to get like the pleasantries out of the way, and then we go into the nitty gritty of the feature, and the phone line cuts off. Oh dear! So I would imagine Simon is furiously searching for that rear dial button. So just bear with me while we await Simon's call back there. Right then. Yeah, as I've mentioned a few times by now, keep those tweets coming. Zone coverage. FS, Stitcher, iTunes, ratings and all that sort of stuff. Get to the website www.zonecoveragefoootballshow.com. You can email me if you want at zonecoveragefoootballshow@mail.com. I do believe that is. So yeah, next week we will return to the usual time of, what is the usual time? 4 o'clock. So next Sunday we'll be back to normal. 4 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. and hopefully a few more listeners. I have some cards made up that we'll be handing out around Wembley tomorrow. So if you are fortunate or maybe unfortunate enough to get one of those, and then feel free to give the show a ring the week after. So here's Simon again. Hello, sir.
And as per usual, we get cut off.
I was just going through the usual sort of fill that I do.
I was just talking about Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know exactly where we got cut off, but I just had a quick look this week, and he was available in some leagues. So just for everybody out there, if you need a quarterback this week, Roethlisberger may well be your man, especially after his record-breaking sort of feats for the last couple of weeks. And the Steelers are against your Jets this week.
Yeah, I fear the worst.
Yeah, I mean, Roethlisberger leads all quarterbacks with 11 deep touchdowns, so we're talking 15 to 20 yards plus this season, so that's good as well. And the Jets, to tell you this, Mark, the Jets are tied the second most in deep touchdowns allowed this season as well. So those long balls downfield, the Jets don't seem to be able to cover those, or much else really at this rate. But
no.
Again, just a word out there for everybody in terms of if you need a backup quarterback this week. I've noticed that Roethlisberger is available in some leagues, so just check your own on that one. Carson Palmer, again, another sort of very underrated quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. He's pretty good this season. I did a few checking on the stats. He's looking at least over 15 points in every game that he's got this year, so he's pretty good in terms of either a backup or, again, if you need somebody to replace, the Colts, Vikings quarterbacks, the Patriots, so the Bradys, the Andrew Lucks, the Phil Rivers of this world for this weekend. Again, Carson Palmer could well be your man if you can pick him up. And certainly in points per game basis, Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, and Russell Wilson are the ones that are ahead of him. So he's doing okay at the moment. He's Carson Palmer. So if they're playing the Rams this week, and the Rams are allowing opponents to complete 70% of their passes.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. That's the highest rate in the league. So again, could be a good matchup really for Carson Palmer, either owners or if you've got him as on your bench, you might consider wanting to play him this week or see if you can pick him up as well. Matt Ryan, interesting character really. Probably went quite reasonably high, I would say, probably in the first sort of 5 or 6 rounds. I would suggest in most fantasy drafts this year, but it could have been dropped recently due to the Atlanta Falcons' sort of poor performance this season. Now they're playing Russell Duke's Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, dear.
Now the Buccaneers are last in the NFL in sacks, so we're not expecting Matt Ryan to sort of be pressured overly and that much. And if you can get a clean pocket, then you can expect to think that he's got 2 stellar wide receivers in Julio Jones and Roddy White. So again, I would potentially play those 2 guys as well. In terms of wide receivers, definitely play those 2 this week. So interesting. Sorry, Mark, only your Jets have allowed more passing touchdowns than the Buccaneers this season.
Wow, it's just full on misery my end, isn't it?
So yeah, just play the matchups a little bit. Really, I think that seems to be the theme coming out of some of this fantasy FUD advice. I'm saying FUD because we got a bit of feedback, didn't we, last week, which we obviously took in good humour. Some of my advice has been sort of going down the Swanee a little bit recently, but anyway, we love to do it anyway. So, but yeah, sort of certainly have a look at the matchups as well and try and get the players in against the teams that are looking like they might get the most points for you. And lastly, I think we talked about him briefly last week, Mark Sanchez. Now he's currently replacing Nick Foles as the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. And again, you think, my God, Mark Sanchez, or Sanchez as he's often called, and you know all about him.
There's a few more choice words that I can't say, in fairness, what we call him.
Yeah, the book fumbler extraordinaire. Again, looked pretty good, I seem to remember, in pre-season. Seems to be a good fit for Chip Kelly's offense as well in there. So, again, that offensive line, they're playing the Carolina Panthers this week, Philadelphia. Sanchez is going to be the quarterback. Again, if anybody out there looking sort of a filler for a bye week, potentially, Sanchez could be a man. And again, it's the matchup again, Philadelphia v Carolina. So I would expect that they could get some decent points there, certainly some decent backup points from Sanchez. And the Panthers, again, the defense isn't that great this season. They are 26th in the league at pressuring the quarterback. So if you can get some decent protection, who knows what it can get you.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. No, but again, we're all scrambling around, aren't we? This time of the year through injuries and bye weeks, and wishing we'd have drafted more than one quarterback and one backup. So again, it's worth just picking. So if you can pick out people like Carson Palmer, potentially Roethlisberger, or I'd imagine has been snapped up by now, Matt Ryan, potentially in a trade value, or again Mark Sanchez. I'm going to finish off with just a couple of running backs for everybody out there. Denard Robinson, I think we did briefly mention him a few weeks ago. Did very little sort of first 5 weeks of the season. Obviously, he's playing for Jacksonville Jaguars at the Wembley game tomorrow against the Dallas Cowboys. And I hope you really enjoy your day, Mark. So good luck with that. I hope it all goes well for you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and so Robinson's sort of taken over as lead running back, really, for the Jaguars from sort of week 7 onwards.
Oh, no. The second week running, we're going for the hat trick, and the Skype quality feedback all jumps up again. Oh, brilliant. Damn it. Oh, as much as I love Skype and it enables me to do certain things, it can be rather frustrating at times. So if anyone wants to pay for me to go in a nice flash studio, that'd be nice. Hit me up, Zone Coverage FS or www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com. Fingers crossed Simon might jump back on just to say hello and goodbye as he did last week. And we're approaching our last 17 minutes of the show. So finishing off, I will go through the stats and that I was working my way through earlier. But Simon is back, so we'll catch up in a minute. Hello again, sir.
Hello again. This is again. It's twice again this week, which is about on average, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. We get a hat trick every week, aren't we? 3 calls.
Yeah, I think we've just matched Andy Dalton's passer rating. I think.
No, we've exceeded it.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah. So I don't know where I got to. I was just talking about Denard Robinson, the Jacksonville Jaguars running back.
Yeah.
Just saying that he's coming his lead back for the Jaguars. Since week 7 of the season, and since then he's totaled more than 100 yards each week with an average carry of about 5.8 yards. So that's pretty good, actually.
That is
something
good.
that we've not really heard much of. So he's second amongst all qualified running backs, amazingly, at the moment. So, again, might be able to see him perform really well at Wembley against the Cowboys tomorrow. And the Cowboys, funnily enough, have coughed up 17 fantasy points per game to the league running backs in the last 2 weeks. So, again, on the matchup again, looks a fairly decent bet if anybody out there wants to sort of fill a spot at running back, certainly for 1 week.
Yeah.
And lastly, Bobby Rainey, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. He's very, very similar to Denard Robinson. Every game Rainey's got double-digit carries this season, plus he's totaled 100-plus yards from scrimmage recently. So, again, it's a matchup again. The Atlanta D isn't great. They've allowed the most fantasy points to opposing running backs this season. So, again, think about Bobby Rainey as a filler for running back position.
Nice. Great stuff, as always, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
Right then, so you said the pod dropped today, was it? Today, yesterday?
Yeah, we recorded the pod on Thursday this week, and I think it's been produced. It should be ready for everybody to listen to from today. So I think it's already out there.
Right, so we will get that tweeted out for you, and we've still got time. We're going to have time for fantasy questions up until kick-off tomorrow if I send people to @Dundee NFL.
Absolutely, yeah, welcome those.
Brilliant. So that concludes then. We've got no random, awkward, rude cut-off as we finish.
Absolutely not. No, just shout out to you. Thanks very much for having us on again on the podcast, Mark, and hope you enjoy your day tomorrow.
Yeah, and likewise, thank you for coming on a day early and a couple of hours early as well. It's much appreciated my end, so you making plans around me. So thanks, mate.
You're absolutely welcome. Anytime.
Right then, Simon. So next week we'll be back to the usual slot then, Fantasy 5 at 5.
Will be. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Enjoy your weekend, sir, and I shall catch up with you as we go forward throughout the week.
All right. Cheers, Mark. All the best.
Brilliant. Cheers, Simon. Take care, buddy.
Bye-bye now.
Bye, mate. And that is Simon there from @Dundee NFL. So you've got an extra day, really, unless you're listening back on Sunday at 4 o'clock, like Will Davis just tweeted me. Not only a hat rack. Says, afternoon, only just tuned in, forgot you were a day ahead this week. He's going to catch up on this episode when it hits Stitcher. So I said, just press play at 4 o'clock tomorrow, and it's like I was just there as normal. So all is not lost. And he does say that is his plan, status quo restored. So last 13 minutes of the show then before we wrap this bad boy up. I will run through the stats. I think I'd got the most free and outs. We'd rattled that off. Let's move on to defensive players' penalties. Player with the most holding penalties this so far on the season is Joe Hayden. He has 5. And then Travis Frederick at the Cowboys, he's got 4. The player with the most, that was a holding penalties, yes. And then moving on to the player with the most penalties, I got 9 apiece. Cowboys, how do you say his name? Ray Wilson. Anyway, it's Ray Wilson. He's got 9 penalties, and those 9 penalties equate to 106 yards. Also at 9 penalties is the Cardinals' Patrick Peterson, and that equates to 93 yards of penalties. Followed then in third place by Jets' Willie Colon with 8 penalties, but for 57 yards, usually for... but Willie Colon just getting penalties for just being Willie Colon and just lining up 5-yard penalty, 5-yard penalty. Anyway, the teams, moving on to the teams with the most penalties. Let's surprised me, in fairness. The Pittsburgh Steelers have 80 penalties so far on the season, followed with 79. The New England Patriots, they're not next on the list. Is no one because I didn't write it down. I then revert to the Buffalo Bills of 68. And then I move on to the teams with the least penalties, or the least penalised teams would have been a better way of phrasing that if I could speak. So the teams that have been penalised the least are the Miami Dolphins with 40 and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, and then the biggest bunch of girls are the Chiefs, 39. So I'm saying it then that rough, tough and causing penalties. The big bunch of girls, or the best behaved team, Chiefs, 39 penalties. Right then, that concludes the stats entertainment section. Hopefully you found some of them interesting. Maybe you didn't. I have no idea. But anyway, that is it. Right, let's move on. Let's wrap this up then. We've done the Fantasy 5, or the Fantasy Fuds at 1400, as they were called just. Let's move into... We've got 10 minutes left now. I'll just reel through the fixtures for your Sunday games, and then I will have a quick look at the standings. So, as Simon mentioned earlier on, we have teams on a bye this week. We do have the Colts, they're on a bye, the Vikings, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Redskins and the Texans are all on a bye. We had the Browns and Bengals game that happened on Thursday, which the Browns destroyed the Bengals. So yeah, on to your Sunday games. It starts off with the Chiefs at the Bills, and then we have, I mentioned this top of the show, but no one rung today regarding this. Dolphins at the Lions, so that's an interesting matchup there. We have the Cowboys at the Jags. Again, that's from Wembley. That is obviously your Sky Sports game this week, 6 o'clock game. Then we have the 49ers at the New Orleans Saints. Another cracking game there. Tennessee Titans at the Baltimore Ravens. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger throwing potentially 6 touchdowns a quarter against my New York Jets. We have the Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have the Denver Broncos at Oakland. We then have the St. Louis Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Another interesting game there. The Rams can't win out division. In the division, they are a force to be reckoned with. And then your late game on Sky, the 9:25 game Sunday evening, is the New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. And then we have an absolutely belting game. The Chicago Bears head to Green Bay to take on the Packers, and that is your Channel 4 late game at 1:30 in the morning. Then Monday night we have the Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. That's on Eurosport at 1:30 in the morning. So it's Monday night, Tuesday morning, whichever way you choose to look at that. So those are your games. Again, and just one last time, Cowboys Jags, Sky 6 o'clock. We have Seahawks Giants 9:25. Packers Bears Channel 4, and then you've got your Game Pass and Red Zone. I don't know if Red Zone's on again this week because Sky like to manipulate the market at times with that. It's a bit of a pain in the rear end for you Red Zone fans. So someone let me know if they do, because obviously I'm going to be at the game tomorrow. Just let me know how that goes. So let's have a look at the standings then. Into the AFC East, we have the Pats sit pretty there as always. 7-2, won the last 5 games. Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins both sit there 5-3. The Bills are on a 2-game winning streak. The Dolphins are on a 3-game winning streak. Then my Jets prop up that division on an 8-game losing streak. On to the AFC North. I've not updated this. I took the picture before, and the AFC North. This is. I do believe that the Browns are now... the Browns are going to be 6-3, along with the Steelers at 6-3. Then it'd be the Baltimore Ravens at 5-4, and the Bengals would be... No, the Ravens would be at the bottom, 5-4. Yeah, anyway, Steelers and Browns are at the top of that. Moving on to the AFC South. This is a problem when I don't factor in Thursday night games. I was busy yesterday, so I couldn't look. Anyway, on to the AFC South. No surprise here. The Colts set their 6-3 on a winning streak of 1. Wow. Yeah, they're the only team that's actually on a winning streak, because then the Texans are up next, 4-5. They lost their last game. Tennessee Titans 2-6, lost 2 on the bounce. Jacksonville Jaguars 1-8, lost the last 2 on the bounce. AFC West, which is becoming intriguing after San Diego's sort of fall from grace. Denver Broncos lead the way here, 6-2. Their streak has lost one, that one against the Patriots last Sunday. The Chiefs are on a 3-game winning streak, and on the opposite side of that coin, the Chargers are on a 3-game losing streak, on an even bigger losing streak, and as miserable as my sorry-ass Jets as the Oakland Raiders. They are 0-8. On to the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles are 6-2. Dallas Cowboys are looking to snap a 2-game losing streak against the Jags this week, as they are 6-3. New York Giants lost the last 3 games on the bounce. They faced the Seahawks Sunday, so they are currently 3-5. Washington Redskins are 3-6. Into the North, then proving to be an interesting division this year. The Vikings are putting up a good fight here, but the Detroit Lions, they sit at the top at the moment, 6-2, won the last 3 games. Green Bay Packers 5-3. Minnesota Vikings 4-5, won the last 2 games. The Chicago Bears 3-5, lost their last 2. Into the NFC South, we have the New Orleans Saints, top of this division, 4-4. 500 record, top of your division. 10 weeks into the season is absolutely madness in my eyes. They are on a 2-game winning streak, and then it's just a battle of the teams with the biggest losing streak here. It's frightening. Carolina Panthers 3-5-1, lost their last 3. The Atlanta Falcons are 2-6, lost their last 5. Tampa Bay Bucks 1-7, lost their last 4. The NFC South is just a division of chaos. They're like the mirror image of the AFC North, where everyone's on a 500 record and above. The NFC South, everyone's like 500 and below. The contrasting, what's the word I'm looking for there? I can't think of it, but yeah. Parallels, universal. Yeah, anyway. So their divisions are completely wild. Into the NFC South, Arizona Cardinals are just running away with this at the moment. Understand their schedule does toughen up. They've got the Seahawks twice, split that, and they're in good stead. So they're on a 4-game winning streak, sitting top of the West, 7-1. And the Seattle Seahawks 5-3. They won the last 2 games. 49ers lost the last 2, 4-4. Must-win game for them today. Sunday against the Saints. And then the St. Louis Rams are 3-5. I'm just looking through this now. There's a couple of teams that have yet to lose at home. New England Patriots, they haven't lost at home yet. Neither of the Broncos. Eagles have still got a 100% home record, as do the Saints and the Cardinals. So let's have a look at the road. Is anyone undefeated on the road? Looking at this, no. Oh, the Cowboys on the road, 3-0 on the road. Didn't say they're the only team that undefeated on the road. Interesting stuff there. Right then, a few mentions. I'll have a quick look through my Twitter feed, actually, the guys that have been active throughout the course of the last 7 days. If I've missed you, I do apologise. I've not been writing them down as I usually do this week. So a few new followers, so welcome aboard to you guys. John Cartwright's tweeted in. Will Davis. I've been speaking to Junaid. He was going to come on the Fan vs Fan today. He's been at work, and he did let me know later on. But even though no Bears fans took me up on the offer, if you want to be on Fan vs Fan next week, please tweet me, Zone Coverage FS. Register your interest there. Simon, you can follow Simon, who does the fancy advice at Browns UK. Simon, also his partner in crime on the podcast, Russell Duke at YCorps on Twitter there. Where do we go now? Yeah, Overtime Island. I was talking to the guys from Overtime Island. They dropped a podcast earlier in the week with Ross Tucker, I do believe, so go over and check that out. Cameron at C4MRIN as well, and Cow Yank. I've been chatting to you guys throughout the week as well. Mark Blaney, had an interesting conversation with Mark about the Jets coming over at A Phobia of Socks. At NFLfans.co.uk, they've been retweeting a few bits as we go as well. Adam Megabyte, Adam Nichols, I appreciate the tweets and that. I mentioned Brett, Huddle Magazine, Marty Toontime, What else do we have? And that's about it, really. I know I'm going to miss someone. Yeah, at UK First Down as well. Yes, I was talking to Gary Jordan as well. So do please go give at GazJaw1 Gary Jordan on there. He sent me a few messages as well over the course of the past week. I think Claire de Bear also, she's been in touch on Twitter. Who else do we have? I think that's just about it, really. I did mention at Bear Down UK. I did actually speak to those guys via messages. So that was that, really. That sort of rounds up the show. Thanks for you guys. If you've made the transition to the Saturday 1 till 2:30 show, that is very, very much appreciated. If you are listening back, give us some feedback. If you want to be on Fan vs. Fan, let me know. Nominations for as always, very, very much appreciated. And one last mention, Taylor at Equinox as well, I do forget. And Scott Larkin, I've been talking to No. We have a meltdown on the show, and I do not know what's gone on there. Hopefully, we are back. Yeah, it's not jumping. Something is going on. So, if the end of this podcast, even a live show, seems a bit iffy, something's going on with the computer. So, I am unsure what's going on here, but we seem to have lost a bit of content. So, fingers crossed those managed to get through the last few moments of it jumping up and down. I was just saying get over to the various outlets, the website, and so on and so on. And with that, I shall leave you all in peace. And those that are going to Wembley tomorrow, or those that have been to Wembley, if you're listening back later in the week, hope you had a safe journey there and back and a wonderful time. And I will be back next Sunday, 4 till 5:30 p.m. Normal service will be resumed going forward as this freezes again. I'm going to go because this is having an absolute fit on it. So until next week, guys, remember, hustle, hit, and never quit. It's not playing. Oh, my word. Come on.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Unable to listen live? We've got that covered. Simply search the Zone Coverage Football Show in either iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And don't forget to subscribe. All our shows and details on how to call into the show can be found on the website www.zonecoveragefootballshow.com.